My name is Justin Ruiz, and this is my code for the first assignment for CSC300. First, I'll run the program to demonstrate that it works. So the program prompts the user with example formats and then asks the user for an integer value. So I'm just going to put in 3. Then it asks again for a second integer value, then draws the diagram based on the 2 inputs. So for number of lines, I'll put 6. So there it draws a center line triangle with 6 lines. So as far as the code goes, first I declare a new scanner for taking in user inputs, and then I declare 2 integer values for grabbing the two expected inputs per the prompt. Next, I use the print lines to prompt the user for their inputs, as well as call the methods involved for making the triangles to provide a sample model for the user to choose from. At first, these examples were written with printfs and typed out manually, but once I finished the methods, they could easily be called instead using a sample integer value to demonstrate what the triangle would look like instead, which is shown here in the output. Here, I prompt and check for the first inputted value and set it to the first integer variable I created. There's a quick check included here just in case the user chooses a number outside of the range. Then the same thing again, I prompt and check for the second inputted value and set it to the second integer variable. And there's another quick bounds check. Here's the switch case part of the code that checks the integer saved in the format select variable and then creates a triangle by calling the methods below using the integer saved in the numLines variable. So as for the actual methods themselves, the left-aligned triangle, there's a nested for loop that basically performs the actions based on a row basis and then a column basis. This one is the simplest of the methods. For the right-aligned triangle, there are 2 for loops inside the outer for loop. Basically, the first for loop generates spaces equal to the numLines variable minus the current row to push the stars all the way to the end of the row. Then the second for loop creates stars equal to the current row value. This works because the number of stars on each row is equal to the row value, and the number of spaces per row is equal to the total number of rows minus the current row value. This one is the most complex of the methods. For the center line triangle, it is basically the same method as the previous one, but the print function for the star includes a space at the end of it to push subsequent stars to the right per row to create a center triangle. This was intuitive because one might notice that the right aligned triangle could be seen as the first half of a center aligned triangle, if mirrored. Lastly, the square method is very similar to the left aligned triangle method, except in the nested for loop. Instead of being looped equal to the value of the current row, it is looped equal to the value of the total rows instead to create a shape equal in width and length, i.e. a square.